All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Jenny Hicks, and I am one of Darcy's friends. I am thankful to be here. Today's like really special for me because I've been following Dr. Darcy for a while now, and he's always been like a leader who's really encouraged people. I want to tell people if you come to these and you feel like, is this real? Is he real? Does he really care that much? I'm gonna tell you, he really does care that much. He really does want to see us succeed. He really wants to push us, and he is about realness. I don't have my shirt on today, but he's definitely a person that's taught me to release the idea of perfection and to really just own and step into my own power, to learn how to bet on myself, and how to advocate for myself. And so I'm thankful for this time to hold space with you all. I also want to really encourage, because there's been some of you who've been rolling with us just as long, if not longer, that this part of the new form of the pull ups of the opportunities for us to get together is really about building these gyms, and these gyms are really meant for all of us. And if you have like a gift, if you have a skill, if you have something that you want to bring, we really want to encourage you to reach out to us. This could be your space, as you just heard me kind of tiptoe through things. Again, you don't have to be perfect, but you got to step out there. And that's the thing I think I've learned the most in these spaces. It's okay. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to stumble here and there, but it's how you pick yourself up. And this, again, is a space for us to lift each other up. And again, I've been in the audience for a while listening to some of y'all, and I know you have some gifts. I know you have some resources that people could really benefit from hearing. So, again, show up, share, find out how you could be up here sharing your gift as well. So I have the pleasure of building off of last week's session around love and business. And this is going to be part two. Part one was really this great opportunity on Valentine's Day. We got together and we talked about these three C's. And we really began to talk about how sometimes when you have a business, you feel like you have to choose between your business, right? Or you have to choose between your relationship. And what we're really hoping to start to build a foundation, that there's these particular C's, these foundations, a way of thinking and moving that can not only strengthen your business, but also strengthen your relationship. Today, I'm going to move a little different though. I'm going to bring us back to how to take these three C's and really think about how we make it personal for ourselves. So to remind ourselves of what those three C's are, is first, one of the keys is communication. Communication. And Dr. Darcy really talked about how at times we may think we communicated with somebody, right? But we realize that we really haven't. And the ability to say that when we do marketing, a lot of times we will repeat our message over and over again. But when we're loved ones, we think that they need to hear it once. Well, guess what? When it comes to ourselves, we often need to say things to ourselves over and over again. And also to notice that ourselves, our bodies, our minds are always communicating with us. And how do we start to make the invisible visible? How do we begin to know what's being said to us and how we can best move? Which brings us to another key, which is connection. Ways to help lift us higher, ways to make sure that when we make that idea of like listening to ourselves, listening to each other, how do we then use that opportunity to either connect and build our network, which is what Dr. Tarsi talked about on Valentine's Day, or do we take that time to really connect and lift ourselves? Or we can do both, right? And lastly, we talked about clarity. Actually, Dr. Darcy started with clarity. Today, I'm going to end with clarity. But the power of clarity is just knowing that clarity is power and clarity is love. And we're going to dive deeper into what that means and that looks like in this space. So let's slow down and go back to communication. And again, today I'm talking about communication, basically inward. Before I start showing what's on the slide, I just want us to think about a moment, like how often does your body communicate to you? How often are there signs that something's going on, that you may need to shift, pivot, you may need to move in a different way? I don't know about y'all, but sometimes my alarm goes off like 15, 20 minutes before I want to wake up. And sometimes I can like breathe in, breathe out, and say, okay, cool. I'm just going to rest. I don't have anything to do. I can just relax. And sometimes I'll get like this tenseness in my body that literally every 2 minutes I keep waking up because honestly, my body's telling me that you actually need to get up. Like I woke you up early because there's something that you actually need to do, right? But for sure, what do I do sometimes? I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna try to get my last little bit of sleep. And sure enough, I end up being 15, 20 minutes late to whatever I need to because something did happen. So often our bodies are talking to us and telling us they're like the perfect radar. I love it. I have to think about how really my body sees things and recognizes things before I see them and recognize them. Matter of fact, do y'all know that we come across 11 million bits of information a day, but yet we only process 40? I'll say that again, 11 million bits of information a day, but we only process 40, which means our brain is constantly making shortcuts. Our brain is constantly telling us to filter that in and to filter that out. But our body is often experiencing all those other things. And the more practice we get with slowing down and listening to our body, the better we can begin to make those stronger relationships, how we can communicate with people clearly about, this feels right or doesn't feel right, right? Like our gut. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like your gut is probably one of the biggest, most powerful communicators. When something starts happening you in a place and your gut starts turning, it's like a sign for you to say, oh, I might need to get out of here. Oh, I might need to pivot. Or you ever had your voice kind of get a little tight because maybe you're in a situation where you're feeling like someone's keeping you from sharing your voice? Or maybe your head's feeling overwhelmed because there's so many ideas and there's not a lot of directions and it feels a little confusing. And so you may need to stop and map things out. Again, our body is telling us what we need. And when we are not listening to our bodies, these things can turn into what we like to call signs of stress. And there's various different things that could be considered signs of stress, right? Signs of stress can look like you feeling like you're helpless, you're hopeless, feeling like you have no control over the situation. Again, it may be connected to anxiety, too many ideas coming at you at one time, right? You may be feeling like you can't be creative, or might actually start to get a little, irritable, hostile. These are ways that when our body starts to react in these ways, when we start to have these type of characteristics, something is going on for us. I like to think about, again, when I'm experiencing anxiety, maybe there's too many ideas flowing in my head and my mind at the time, right? And so I need to be able to think about how do I organize those things? How do I slow down? Anxiety often reminds me of that. Maybe I'm too far in the future, right? Maybe I'm just thinking too far ahead, and actually I'm being asked to come back to the present moment. And what does that look like? So I know for me, for example, if I'm driving, and hi Edward, I see that you're driving right now, right? I feel like sometimes when I'm driving, sometimes I'll be thinking about stuff, right? Because a lot of times our brain goes on autopilot, especially if we go into a place we know. Anybody ever got home and you thought about, like, I didn't even think about how I got home. I just got home. I didn't think about how I got to work because, again, our brain is on autopilot. But while our brain is on autopilot, we start to dream, we start to go here. And I've noticed sometimes I'll be driving and I'll be either thinking about something that happened in the past or something that's happened in the future. And I literally feel like a tension in my arms around the, steering wheel. Now my body starts to tense up. And then I have to take a deep breath and have to remind myself, Jenny, what are you doing right now? Oh, you're driving. And one of the best tools I ever learned when I started to actually go on my healing journey and started connected therapy, they said start naming things that you see. So I'll be like, there's a tree, and I'll spell tree. There's a red car. I'll say whatever I need to bring me back into that present moment. And sure enough, once I do that, my whole body will just relax. And if I can stay there, whatever was causing me tension, actually begin to shift. Some other things that you may experience when you see signs of stress could be guilt, shame, fear, anger, right? It could be depression, heavy thoughts, memories. I'm going to say right now, too, because one of the things that Dr. Darcy, as his dear friend, caught me towards, I would want to say, when I began to really step into my healing journey. I am a two-time suicide survivor. And I say that because there's 2 times in my life that I found myself in such a dark place that I actually was feeling like, I don't know if I want to be here. But I want to tell you, even in that, that was communicating to me, because all that was telling me actually is that the life I was living, the way that I was moving was so out of alignment of who I am, than who I want to be and how I want to move, that all I had to do was really get quiet, get some help, talk to people so I can get back on alignment. And actually, it was the sweetest gift because it actually was the opposite. If I looked at it in a different way, it was actually saying, you want to live so bad in this truth, but yet you're walking in that truth, right? And so, in order for me to get into alignment, I had to literally let go of this false reality that I had created for myself and listen to where I was actually being called to be. And for a while there, I was in like the darkness, y'all. I was in like, I didn't know where I was going to be. Like it was this kind of like a tunnel. But even in that, it was beautiful. It was sweet because it was where I needed to be. So again, when we experience these things, when we have moments that we feel numb, moments that we're having a hard time listening or we're purposely avoiding, or my favorite one is when you start to realize that you're constantly like telling people how awesome you are. Those are moments that we want to slow down and start to communicate with ourselves. Because the fact is, if we don't do this, matter of fact, sometimes this happens before, during, and after when our body is starting to communicate with us. It could be about our feeling the stress in our bodies, y'all. So when you're not listening to what is happening, it can show up as nausea. It can show up as high blood pressure. So when again, I'm on the steering wheel and I'm thinking about my past experiences, right? My blood pressure is moving really, really, really fast. So not only if I move my thought to something else, my body is connecting to that and reacting to that and saying, "Oh my goodness, there must be a tiger in the room," because your brain went to that, but my I haven't, right? But my body has physically joined me in that way of thought. And then if I'm sitting in that way of thought, what happens? I'm going to fatigue. I'm going to get exhausted. I'm tired because my brain is always in overload. Or maybe I'm feeling numb and disassociated. So my brain and my body just wants to rest all the time. But again, even in that, what is your body telling you? What is your body communicating to you? Maybe you do need to rest. Maybe you have been going really hard. Maybe your body is saying to you, hey, if you lay down, I'm going to send you a dream and I'm going to give you the answers that you need. If you just relax, I'm going to heal those things in your body, right? Maybe those are the things your body is telling you. But again, when we fight it, it becomes into telling people, I'm always tired. I'm exhausted. If you're fighting yourself saying that, then start to have a conversation with yourself. Also, ooh, big one. How about this one for some people? Body aches. Body aches, inflammation, a lot of heat going through your body. If you're experiencing a lot of anger and and you're irritated all the time, that's some heat going through your body, which literally allows your body to swell up. Or better yet, have you ever felt like bloated? That's also could be connected to what are you holding on to? What happened a year ago that you still ain't let go of? That is literally sitting in your body, physically sitting in your body. I remember one time my mom actually was going through her awakening and shifting and growing. And she was always been a person who's gone back and forth with her weight. And I remember when she started therapy, it was the craziest thing, y'all. Her weight just started to fall off. Like she was working out the same amount she was working out, eating the same way she was eating, but all of a sudden her weight just fell off. We later discovered again, stress can cause you. So how many of y'all go to the gym every day, be working out and eating well, and you still ain't losing weight? How frustrating that could be. I've been there, right? I've been there, right? But how about if I tell you that some of your weight is connected not to that part of even what you're eating, or how you're moving your body, but it's actually the stress that you're holding in your body. It's that conversation you had with that person 2 years ago that you still thinking about, that you're now judging every other relationship with, right? And it's just holding there. And so the moment you can actually start to have that communication with yourself, move into, okay, that happened. Now what I'm going to do about it? Literally, the weight falls out of your mind and your body. I promise you, try this. It's mind blowing, right? Another thing, too, of course, it can affect your immune system. It can elevate your cholesterol level. So, this is why when we talk about learning to listen to your body, it is important. The communication you have with others, how are you having that same communication with yourself? What is that looking like for you and yourself? Because our body is talking to us, our mind is talking to us all day, all the time. I think I heard Dr. Darcy, that might be misquoting you, but it's like if you can't even enjoy the conversation when you have with yourself, how you gonna enjoy conversations you have with others, right? If you're not comfortable talking to yourself and listening to yourself and being in fellowship with yourself, how authentic is your fellowships really with others? Your communications with others? It really starts with us. And that takes time. It's not easy. I feel like this is a lifelong journey. I would love to say that I have come to an arrival because I'm standing here teaching and talking to y'all about this, but this is not that. Matter of fact, I don't even want to say I'm teaching. I am just talking. I am just sharing. I'm just having a conversation with you. And as I'm having a conversation with you all, I'm having a conversation with myself. So those who are here live or those who are listening to the recording, I really encourage you to take a moment and pause and to think about, how does my body communicate with me? Do I get headaches? Do I get backaches? Right? Do my hands start to sweat? What in ways does your body communicate to you when you are feeling some extra stress? And then get curious. And you know what the mind-blowing thing is? That if you're finding yourself getting a lot of headaches, maybe because there's a lot of thoughts, you living in the future a lot, you got some worries. So maybe we're processing worries. You got some back pain. Maybe there's some things you need to back on up from, right? You have some gut pains. Maybe there's something that's telling you, hey, this ain't right. It's so interesting that even where it's affecting your body, it often tell you what's actually going on in your mind and your life. I think one of the most beautiful things is I'm a spiritual person, and I really don't think God made it that hard. I just don't, y'all. I think the answers are constantly in our face if we're just willing to listen. So again, I'm encouraging you, take a moment. If you're driving, come back to this recording, write it down, make a list of how things are showing up in your body, and then give yourself the space and quietness to make a connection, which we're going to talk about next, on how you can begin to heal those parts, how you can begin to have those conversations and identify ways to shift. So there's many ways that you can connect once you've started your communication. And one of them I'm using, and what this resources that are coming to you all, and I'm just starting off, y'all, is I am a life coach working with Deepa Chopra, who focuses on Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is the science of life. And it's about a 5,000 year, probably even older process that was actually a healing process that comes from India. And again, there are many healing processes and modalities out there, and I really encourage you to explore what really works for you. But the reason I truly wanted to do this is because, especially as an entrepreneur, you always hear, I need a work-life balance. And I'm like, what is a work-life balance? Does that even really exist? And y'all, I still don't know if that exists. But maybe I can have a health balance. Maybe I can have a wellness balance. Maybe I can figure out how to connect with myself. When I find myself overworking, I can try this strategy or that strategy to bring me back into myself. Ayurveda too is based on three doshas. And I like to look at this as anybody ever taken like strength finders or any type of character test. This is not very different than that. But instead, this is about like, again, thinking about your health and wellness. The other reason I'm really connected to this is because I wanted to find that quote, not the quote, but the scripture. So I highly encourage anybody else who comes here, if you know the scripture, to put it in the chat. But it's the scripture that talks about like basically why worry if God is taking care of the birds. If the birds can get up every morning and get their food and go about their business, why would you think that God would have done the same for you? That scripture blows my mind. And what it reminds me of is that literally what I need to heal is right here on this earth. It is inside me, living in truth. This is why, y'all, I love trees. I love the moon. I love the fact that it goes through cycles. People think about the moon in different ways, but I think about it as the ability that there's sometimes I'm full and sometimes I need to release. You'll hear me say often, if you're ever in a space with me, why I love trees, y'all. And one of the main reasons is trees, for so many reasons, right? They will move their bodies so they can survive and get to the sun, right? They will provide shelter, they provide food, they provide resources, they provide air. But get this, y'all, every time through a certain time of the year, what do? They shed their leaves. They let go. And they have to let go if they want something new to show up. Again, the ability to realize that things are here for a moment, a season for a reason. But a lot of these things are not meant for me to hold on, but I got to let them go so I can see what's next. And then the other powerful thing about trees, a lot of people focus on the fruit. But did you know none of that would exist without what's in the soil, what's in the dark, which sometimes never, ever sees the light? To respect the tree, you have to respect the root. And that's the same for us in our lives, right? How do we learn to really honor all of us? And when I mean all of you, and again, I was in the class. Again, this is the place to be. I'm telling you, on Wednesday, you want to be here because there's so many gems. And I'm going to misquote it, but it was a quote. Yeah, basically saying when someone comes up to you and gives you praise, and they're like, you're all that, that the actual conversation you have with yourself is, you're right. I'm all that. All the excitement and the motivation and the well put together presentation and the sleepiness and me running late, didn't find my outfit, maybe had a little bit of a sharp conversation with my partner as I was leaving the room because I didn't have time to talk to them because I had to stay up all night to get the presentation together. I am all of that. I am all of that. And so for me, this process of Ayurveda is really honoring the elements in all of it. It goes from Vata, which is movement and space and air. And when we talk about space, we're really talking about the space in between something. So like there's a computer screen and I'm here and there's this empty space in between there. And there's a lot of possibilities can happen from here to there. Pitta, transformation, being able to take fire and water. Think about how those two things move and they transform. And then Kapha, the protector, the water, the earth. One of the things we're going to send to you when we send out the recording is an actual link to the test that you can take to determine which dosha you have that's most strong for you. So don't worry about that now. You're going to get a handout. You're going to get some resources that will allow you to do that. But let's have a little conversation about Vata. So Vatas, again, remember I mentioned to you, were made out of space and air. And when you think about the elements of space and air, space can be, and air can be kind of cold. It can be fast. It can be open. It can be all these things, right? And so a person who's really connected to their Vata part of themselves can be energetic, can be creative, adaptable, enthusiastic, lively. Because again, you think about you think about like a hummingbird or something that moves really fast. And that's what we're talking about, Avata, right? But the flip side of Avata, again, loving and appreciate all of who I am. If I'm always creative, I might be an overthinker. I might be worried. I might have insomnia because I can't go to sleep, y'all. I have really bad sleep. I'm waking up, right? And in my body, I might feel gassy and bloating, things that kind of produce air. Now I might always be tired, even though I'm going, because I'm always going, I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna talk about these things in a moment about being able to identify these things, because once you can, there's strategies you can use to get back in balance. All right. And then remembering that pittas are fire and water. So same thing. What do fires do? They burn, right? They can absorb, they can transform, they can do these different things. And so when you're balanced as a pitta, and I'm a pitta vita, you'll discover that you could be more than one, right? My points are really close to each other, but I'm at first a pitta. Pittas are natural leaders, right? They're passionate, they're intelligent, they focus, they're friendly, they're warm, they're bright. But on the flip side, we could be angry, irritable, judgmental, aggressive, right? Inflammation, indigestion. Again, the things that are connected to fire. Last, I'll talk about my kappas, right? My kappas are the protectors. They're strong, they're water and earthbound. And again, when you think about the earth, you think about it being sturdy, you think about it being loyal, you think about grounding, loving, calm, patient. My kappas are the people that they're going to think for a long time before they make a decision. Okay. They're the ones who like to stay home and kind of relax. But on the flip side, though, they can be a little needy, tatchy. They can be a little bit, again, the part of us that holds things in, right? Overly protective, resistant to change. Those are things that my kappas can do. So I share this with you because as you connect to yourselves and you think through, are these things me? Do I have these features? Are they connected to who I am? There's always ways, once you know that, you can shift and move differently. So I wanted to show you really quickly the packet you're going to receive. And this does come from my organization that I get the opportunity to co-lead with the wonderful Vanessa Hernandez. And we created this beautiful packet for you all. You'll see in the packet, it has how you can score yourself, but I'm also going to send you the link so you can do it directly from the Deepa Chopra website. But if that's not working for you, because I've heard from people that sometimes that does not necessarily always work. But if it's not working, you can always just, print this out and do the scores. And once it gives you the scores, it's going to tell you again, are you a Vata, Pitta, or Kapha? And once you do those things, you can see here, it talks about the characteristics. It talks about being in balance. But my favorite part here, y'all, it starts to talk about when you're noticing you're in balance, what are the things that can bring you back to balance? So for my Vittas, because they're air, you can imagine they like what? Wind instruments, warm sounds, relaxing. So violins. If anybody ever find themselves that you love hearing a violin, might be that you're very strong in your Vita. Their touch, when they move their body, they might have like a gentle use of the upward stroke of their face. They're more like the browns, the pastels, the earth colors. Oh, but here's a big one for my Vittas. Did y'all know you may crave certain foods when you're out of balance? Again, you may be moving so fast that your body is going to crave sweets. And you up here thinking something wrong with you. Why I keep wanting that cookie? It's because your body's out of balance and it needs something sweet inside of it to balance it. But if you start to learn, and I'm still learning Ayurveda, they talk about how you can find sweets, obviously, in fruits and meats and other things, right? You can find it in other ways, but sometimes your go-to when you're feeling something is to go straight to that cookie. And it's literally your body's communicating something's out of balance, right? They like smells that are more floral. They might like smells that are like oranges, lavenders, right? And then here's our pitta. I'm a pitta. I don't know if you can see from the back of my house. I don't have a blurry, but you can probably see a lot of white. That dark thing in the back is a blue, dark blue. I was laughing at this because I was like, my whole house is white and blue, right? Because those are colors. Because I'm fiery, so I need like things to calm me down when I'm out of balance. I need things to like look more smooth, right? I like sweet sounds. I love the violin. If you ever hear me play music, I'm always playing violin music. I too love sweet and salty. That's my jam, right? Again, these are things that I may need when I'm out of balance. For my kaphas, things that you may need because you're so earthbound, you may need a little fire, a little pick me up. So the music you like is drums, do, 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 right? You need something to really feel, get your body moving because you really like to sit down. So when you're too sitting down, too stuck, you might want something that gets you up and moving, right? You want a little bit more reds in your life. You want a little bit more things that are potent, bitter, those things that are going to really kind of shift you and put your energy into balance. So these are just a few things that, again, when you sit with and you listen and you begin to have conversations with yourself, you'll notice these things can help you. Again, I'm going to encourage you, if you're listening to this, to go back to the recording and to watch and listen and think about what are the things that I do when I'm out of balance that I can do to put me back in balance, right? What are the things that I can do to put me back in balance? And if those things can look like maybe I'm setting intentional goals to calm myself down, I'm being kind to myself, I'm creating a gratitude list. Does anybody know the power of a gratitude list? It can change your whole life. You know, I've actually been practicing this. I'm about to tell myself, y'all, but I've been practicing that when I have a negative thought about myself or even somebody else, because they happen, I actually stop and say three positive things, right? So I have to stop and tell myself three positive things about myself. I'll think about that person and I'll think of three positive things. Now, here's the kicker though. If I think about that person, I think another negative thought, I got to think of three totally different positive things. But I'm going to tell you, it shifted my relationship with myself and how I connect with other people, right? Learning again, even loving all of me, welcoming all of me is also creating space to welcome all of somebody else. Ooh, take that one in. If you want to be able to love all of you, how do you create the strategies and systems in place within you to welcome all of someone else? And that's not always an easy thing to do. And so sometimes you got to have that self-talk, that self-communication, and remind yourself that this is a person. This is, and again, I'm a divine person. So this is a person who is created from above, who has all the elements in them that I have in me. I may not be able to see it in this moment, but I can acknowledge what is good in them. So it can ground me and bring me back. So a reminder that I want to have these healthy relationships. If I want to have a healthy relationship with myself, I'm also practicing that with other people. Don't let yourself get hangry. Take social media breaks. I tell people all the time, if your social media feed don't make you laugh, doesn't make you feel empowered, doesn't make you even sometimes cry, but cry in the best way because you're seeing the humanity in people, you may need to change your algorithm. There's some things you clicking on that you may need to look at that and unfollow some people, unfollow some things so that the algorithm that they use really showcase how you want to show up and move, right? Make your environments, when you're feeding yourself, can you make your environments an actual relaxing environment? And big one, especially for my entrepreneurs. Welcome help, welcome help, welcome help, welcome help, welcome help. And especially, I don't want to speak too much. We talked a little bit about the brothers and sisters and how we move differently in entrepreneurs. For my brothers, please, I know at a young age you were asked to step up and lead the house. But please, please, please know you are strong. You are a king. And even kings had help. Okay. Even kings had help. Kings didn't do everything. So I do want to really encourage us to think about what are ways that you can ask for help. It doesn't mean anything else, but the fact that you actually giving an opportunity for someone else to help could be a gift to them, while in return being a gift to you, because now it gives you time to do things that you actually want to do and focus on. Okay. So ask for help. Think about, though, these are just some examples. I want you all to make a list for yourself, because when you find yourself, when you find your stomach getting hurt, you find yourself getting fatigued, you find your blood pressure go high, or you find yourself being depressed or having anxiety, you want to have a toolkit of different things you could do to bring you back, right? Because you want to be proactive, and also sometimes we just have to, because things happen, reactive, but you got those tools so you don't stay there forever. All right. I know we are at time, but technically we did start a few minutes late. So I would love to go to clarity. For those who are joining live, if you need to go, please feel free to go. For those who are able to stay, please stay, because I'm actually now going to guide you through an actual meditation, a way to ground ourselves, a way to be connected to ourselves in a different way, because this work of healing is, the first part is communication, being able to listen and pay attention and admit when I'm out of balance. And then it is to create a list of different ways that I can get back into balance. But then it's also about practicing things. So just like we have to work out for our bodies, we have to work out our breath, we have to work out our mind, we have to work out our our emotions. We have to be able to do tools and strategies that help us with those things. And so one of the things that I've done is, and y'all, this is my first time recording myself doing a guided meditation. So, and I did it on purpose because I would have loved to let you all through it, but meditations, noises in the back, I didn't want that to happen. I wanted you to really enjoy the experience. Again, if you happen to be in a place where you're not private, it's okay. This is a thing that I think is a myth a little bit about meditations for me, is that people sometimes feel like you got to sit a certain way, you got to clear your mind completely, which is a really hard thing for me to do. So I also want to welcome that meditations can be part of your subconsciousness. So even if you're driving, have faith that the words that you're hearing is planting a seed for you in the back that will resonate when it needs to resonate for you, right? That will show up for you when it needs to show up. With meditation, I believe you can dance, you can draw, you can work, you could do whatever. That's just me. But of course, you can get a lot of beautiful tools and strategies where you can actually slow down and completely focus on the words that are being said to you in that moment and really practice the strategies. Today, we're going to practice in this meditation some breath work. It's going to be stop action breath work, and I'll explain that during the meditation, what that looks like. But I want to remind you that breath work is so beautiful, and it's only yours, y'all. It's like a fingerprint. I always tell people, if you didn't do anything today and you woke up and you breathe, there was something for you that day. But also know breath work can relieve mental, physical, and emotional tension. It can lower your heart rate, creating a sense of calmness. It also has been proven to treat depression, anxiety, and I like to say provide a spiritual awakening for those who are different ways of spirituality. Spirituality can also mean how you make meaning. Meditation can allow you to sit with your thoughts and feelings without judgment. So during this meditation, you're going to have some moments where you'll hear me get silent. It's usually because I'm asking you to practice the breathing activity by yourself. I'm asking you to sit with your thoughts by yourself. Okay. This is a little bit of a longer meditation, because really great meditations, not all, they can be short, they can be long. But promising practice is you want to do 7 to 10 minutes, right? And so this one's a little about 8 minutes long. That being said, I think I'm going to start it. And then when we come back, I'm going to end with a quick affirmation and I'm going to close out. But I thank you all for riding with me. And let me get this meditation started and going. Give me a second to set it up just for you. While cool. I don't know if you can still hear me, but while I'm setting this up, please, by all means, feel free to get comfortable. If your camera is on, feel free to turn off your camera and just settle into this moment in space and time. It's yours. It's a gift to you. Welcome
Today's inspiration is clarity. The poet William Blake wrote that if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is infinite. Clarity is cleanliness of the mind's perception and understanding. When we have clarity, we can see things clearly without confusion or indecision. Clarity allows us to live with intention to fully realize and follow our purpose. We replace self-doubt with confidence, trust, and certainty. With understanding and clarity, we are better able to connect with our true nature and are guided in practices and experiences that lead to optimal health emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. When we release distractions that overwhelm and confuse us, we find clarity on who we are and what matters to us most. Let's create space for clarity now. Find a comfortable seat. Gently close your eyes. Place your attention on your breath as it rises and falls. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's practice stop action breathing. Using a complete inhale and an exhale in 3 parts. Breathwork can gather your attention, helping you to align with your true self and find clarity. Now, place one hand on your stomach and your other hand on your heart. Take in a few deep breaths. Observing your body breathing. As you breathe in, feeling your stomach and ribs expand. As you breathe out, the stomach and ribs release. Now take in a full inhale. Then exhale 1/3 of your breath. Pause. Exhale the second third. Pause. Exhale completely. We'll continue just like that. Taking a full inhale. Exhale 1/3 of your breath. Pause. Exhale the other third. Pause. Exhale completely. Continue the cycle of breathing on your own. If you feel strain at any point, gently return to observing your breath and allow it to flow naturally. Breathing in with gentle power of your life force. Breathing out, feeling the sense of grounding as the base of your spine connects and draws down into the earth. If it feels comfortable for you, you may begin holding your breath for a couple of seconds before exhalation. Just finding space between without forcing it. After your next inhale, release the breathing practice. Allow your breath to return normally, letting it flow naturally. Now, in this present awareness, consider if there is something in your life that you are seeking clarity on, a decision, a way forward, an aspect of your daily routine. Let the question be there. Let it settle into the space of possibility for clarity to arise. Using your breath as you anchor for your attention, watch it rise and fall. I'll watch the time. Take a few deep breaths. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. The mathematician Pascal wrote that clarity of mind means certainty of passion. To this is why a great and clear mind loves ardently and sees distinctly what it is love. Today, give yourself space to allow for a clearer mind. It is in that space that clarity can arise and guide you in a way to an intentional life. Namaste.
You enjoyed that. Again, this is a meditation that will be yours. We're going to send out the recording. as an opportunity, but hopefully you got to feel the power of just taking a moment, connecting with your breath, just even just 2 minutes of silence, and being able to sit with that and see what comes to you. I guarantee you, every time I do it, something new comes to me. I bring an idea. If I just get quiet and I connect with my mind and my body, whatever I'm looking for will come to me. The last thing I would like to do is just wrap up all three C's and say that one of the most powerful practices you can do is around affirmation, around the ability on top of breath work and meditation and not getting hangry. You can also adapt the thoughts and the communication you're having with yourself, being able to shift the narrative. Again, one of the biggest shifts I've seen in my life is when I started just out of random telling myself, Jenny, you're doing a good job. Jenny, you got this. When I started, as Dr. Darcy would say often, betting on myself, uplifting myself. One of the most powerful things he ever told me, which is why I show up every Wednesday, is he's like, Jenny, at some point, you got to believe in yourself more than I believe in you. And I knew if I showed up every Wednesday, I was going to get poured into and I was going to be able to build the skills and resources I needed in order to learn how to bet on myself. And I'm telling you, since that, y'all, it has been wild. That's a whole nother session one day. If I could tell you all the cool stuff that's been happening for me. But either way, an affirmation I would love for you all to hear, and then we'll close out, which is by Adrienne Marie Brown, called Radical Gratitude Spell. And it says, you are a miracle walking. I greet you with wonder. And a world that seeks to own your joy, your imagination, you have chosen to be free. Every day, as a practice, I can never know the struggle you went through to get here. But I know you have swam upstream, and at times it has been lonely. I want you to know I honor the choices you have made in solitude. I've honored the work you have done to belong. I honor the commitment to which is larger than yourself and your journey. To love the practical container, the particular container of life that is you. You are enough. Your work is enough. You are needed. Your work is sacred. You are here, and I am grateful. Ashe. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to be the friend of Dr. Darcy today on this Wednesday. I'll pass it back to Dr. Darcy to give some updates for some additional things moving forward. But thank you, everyone.